Shakespeare's Histories, The Queen's Storm, Episode 3. King Henry VI reigns over England in a highly charged time. As a teenage monarch, he suffers from the debilitating stress of an ongoing war with France, as well as the internal squabbles of his court. In a gesture of rivalry, the Duchess of Somerset wears a red rose, while Richard Plantagenet, the Duke of York, wears a white rose. Their allies follow suit, and this argument threatens to split the English court in half. Henry has attempted to show favor to the two equally, first by wearing Somerset's red rose, and then by naming York Regent of France. The people of France have been fighting back against the desecration of their land, thanks to the leadership of Joan of Arc. England's greatest warrior, John Talbot, the Earl of Shrewsbury, leads his forces to Bordeaux in southern France to recapture the town, which has been under French control for the past year.
English John Talbot, Captain, calls you forth, servant-in-arms to Harry, King of England, and thus he would. Open your city gates, be humble to us, call my sovereign yours, and do him homage as obedient subjects, and I'll withdraw me and my bloody power. But if you frown upon this proffered peace, you tempt the fury of my three attendants, lean famine, quartering steel, and climbing fire, who in a moment, even with the earth, shall lay your stately and air-braving towers if you forsake the offer of their love.
Thou ominous and fearful owl of death, our nation's terror and their bloody scourge, the period of thy tyranny approacheth. On us thou canst not enter but by death, for I protest we are well fortified, and strong enough to issue out and fight. If thou retire, the Dauphin, well appointed, stands with the snares of war to tangle thee. 10,000 French have ta'en the sacrament to rive their dangerous artillery upon no Christian soul but English Talbot. For ere the glass that now begins to run finish the process of his sandy hour, these eyes that see thee now well coloured shall see thee withered, bloody, pale, and dead. Hark, hark, the Dauphin's drum, a warning bell, sings heavy music to thy timorous soul, and mine shall ring thy dire departure out.
She fables not, I hear the enemy. Out, some light cavalry, and peruse their wings. God and St. George, Talbot and England's right, prosper our colours in this dangerous fight.
Talbot prepares to encounter the French forces led by Charles and Joan of Arc near Castillon. The Duke of York, Warwick, Somerset, and Suffolk sail back to France with fresh supplies and troops. Talbot sends Lady Lucy to them for much-needed reinforcements.
Are not the speedy scouts returned again that dogged the mighty army of the Dauphin?
They are returned, my lord, and give it out that he has marched to Bordeaux with his power to fight with Talbot. As he marched along, by your espials were discovered 2 mightier troops than that the Dauphin led, which joined with him and made their march for Bordeaux.
A plague upon that villain Somerset, that thus delays my promised supply of cavalry that were levied for this siege. Renowned Talbot doth expect my aid, and I am louted by a traitor villain, and cannot help the noble chevalier. God comfort him in this necessity. If he miscarry, farewell wars in France.
Thou princely leader of our English strength, never so needful on the earth of France, spur to the rescue of the noble Talbot, who now is girdled with a waist of iron and hemmed about with grim destruction. To Bordeaux, warlike Duke, to Bordeaux, York, else farewell Talbot, France and England's honor.
Oh God, that Somerset, who in proud heart doth stop my cornets, were in Talbot's place. So should we save a valiant gentleman by forfeiting a traitor and a coward. Mad ire and wrathful fury makes me weep, that thus we die while remiss traitors sleep.
Oh, send some succor to the distressed lord.
He dies, we lose, I break my warlike word. We mourn France, smiles we lose they daily get, all along of this vile traitor Somerset.
Then God take mercy on brave Talbot's soul, and on his son, young John, who 2 hours since I met in travel toward his warlike father. This 7 years did not Talbot see his son, and now they meet where both their lives are done.
Alas, what joy shall noble Talbot have to bid his young son welcome to his grave? Away, vexation almost stops my breath, that sundered friends greet in the hour of death. Lucy, farewell, no more my fortune can, but curse the cause I cannot aid the man. Main, Blois, Poitiers, and Tours are won away, long all of Somerset and her delay.
Thus, while the vulture of sedition feeds in the bosom of such great commanders, sleeping neglection doth betray to loss the conquest of our scarce cold conqueror, that ever-living man of memory, Henry V. Whilst they each other cross, lives, honors, lands, and all hurry to loss.
It is too late. I cannot send them now. This expedition was by York and Talbot too rashly plotted. All our general force might with a sally of the very town be buckled with. The over-daring Talbot hath sullied all his gloss of former honor by this unheedful, desperate, wild adventure. York set him on to fight and die in shame that, Talbot dead, great York might bear the name.
Here is Lady Jane Lucy, who with me set from our o'ermatched forces forth for aid.
How now, my lady? Whither were you sent?
Whither, my lord? From bought and sold Lord Talbot, who ringed about with bold adversity cries out for noble York and Somerset to beat assailing death from his weak regions. And whilst the honorable captain there drops bloody sweat from his war-wearied limbs, you, his false hopes, the trust of England's honor, keep off aloof with worthless emulation. Let not your private discord keep away the levied succors that should lend him aid.
York set him on, York should have sent him aid.
And York, as fast upon your grace exclaims, swearing that you withhold his levied host collected for this expedition.
York lies. He might have sent and had the horse. I owe him little duty and less love, and take foul scorn to fawn on him by sending.
The fraud of England, not the force of France, hath now entrapped the noble-minded Talbot. Never to England shall he bear his life, but dies betrayed to fortune by your strife.
Come, go. I will dispatch the cavalry straight. Within 6 hours they will be at his aid.
Too late comes rescue, he is ta'en or slain. For fly he could not if he would have fled, and fly would Talbot never, though he might.
If he be dead, brave Talbot, then adieu.
His fame lives in the world, his shame in you.
O young John Talbot, I did send for thee to tutor thee in stratagems of war, that Talbot's name might be in thee revived, when sapless age and weak unable limbs should bring thy father to his drooping chair. But, O malignant and ill-boding stars, now thou art come into a feast of death, a terrible and unavoided danger. Therefore, dear boy, mount on my swiftest horse, and I'll direct thee how thou shalt escape by sudden flight. Come, dally not, be gone.
Is my name Talbot? And am I your son? And shall I fly? Oh, if you love my mother, dishonor not her honorable name to make a bastard and a rogue of me. The world will say, he is not Talbot's blood that basely fled when noble Talbot stood.
Fly to revenge my death if I be slain.
He that flies so will ne'er return again.
If we both stay, we both are sure to die.
Then let me stay, and father, do you fly. Your loss is great, so your regard should be my worth unknown. No loss is known in me. There is no hope that ever I will stay if the first hour I shrink and run away. Here, on my knee, I beg mortality, rather than life preserved with infamy.
Shall all thy mother's hopes lie in one tomb?
Aye, rather than I'll shame my mother's womb.
Upon my blessing, I command thee, go!
To fight I will, but not to fly the foe. If death be so apparent, then both fly.
And leave my followers here to fight and die? My age was never tainted with such shame.
And shall my youth be guilty of such blame? No more can I be severed from your side than can yourself in twain divide. Stay, go, do what you will, the like do I, for live I will not, if my father die.
Then here I take my leave of thee, fair son, born to eclipse thy life this afternoon. Come, side by side, together live and die, and soul with soul from France to heaven fly.
The Talbots march to Castillon with their troops, hoping to return the city to English control. They encounter a small detachment of French archers outside the city and successfully drive them back.
Onward! Yes! Charge! Charge! Get him!
Young couple Talbot died!
St. George in victory! Fight, soldiers, fight! The Regent hath with Talbot broke his word and left us to the rage of France his sword. Where's John Talbot? Pause and take thy breath.
Oh, twice my father, twice am I thy son. The light thou gavest me first was lost and done, till with thy warlike sword, despite of fate, to my determined time thou gavest new date.
When from the dolphin's crest thy sword struck fire, it warmed thy father's heart with proud desire of bold-faced victory. Speak, thy father's care. Art thou not weary, John? How dost thou fare? Fly to revenge my death when I am dead. The help of one stands me in little stead. If I today die not with Frenchmen's rage, tomorrow I shall die with mickle age. By me they nothing gain, and if I stay, 'tis but the shortening of my life one day. In thee, thy mother dies, our household's name, my death's revenge, thy youth and England's fame, all these and more we hazard by thy stay. All these are saved if thou wilt fly away.
The sword of Orleans hath not made me smart. These words of yours draw lifeblood from my heart. Before young Talbot from old Talbot fly, the coward horse that bears me fall and die. Surely by all the glory you have won, and if I fly, I am not Talbot's son.
Then follow thou thy desperate sire of Crete, thou Icarus. Thy life to me is sweet. If thou wilt fight, fight by thy father's side, and commendable proved. Let's die in pride.
The English army pushes on and meets the united force of France. The French forces are protected by an encampment of artillery, allowing them to obliterate the advancing English. Within an hour, the French victory is decisive.
Triumphant death, smeared with captivity. Anon from thy insulting tyranny, two Talbots, winged through the lither sky in thy despite, shall scape mortality. O thou whose wounds become hard-favoured death, speak to thy father ere thou yield thy breath. Brave death by speaking, whether he will or no. Imagine him a Frenchman and thy foe. Poor boy, he smiles, methinks, as who should say, had death been French, then death had died today. Come and lay him in his father's arms. My spirit can no longer bear these harms. Ecce biber patum. Soldiers, adieu. I have what I would have. Now my old arms are young John Talbot's grave. Ecce biber.
Had York and Somerset brought rescue in, we should have found a bloody day of this.
How the young whelp of Talbot's raging wood did flesh his puny sword in Frenchman's blood.
Doubtless he would have made a noble knight. See where he lies, enhearsed in the arms of the most bloody nurser of his harms.
Hew them to pieces, hack their bones asunder, whose life was England's glory, Gallia's wonder.
Oh, no, forbear! For that which we have fled during the life, let us not wrong it dead.
Herald, conduct me to the Dolphin's tent to know who hath obtained the glory of the day.
On what submissive message art thou sent?
Submission, Dolphin? 'Tis a mere French word. We English warriors know not what it means. I come to know what prisoners thou hast ta'en and to survey the bodies of the dead.
For prisoners ask'st thou? Hell our prison is. But tell me whom thou seek'st.
Valiant Lord Talbot, Earl of Shrewsbury, Knight of the Noble Order of St. George, Great Marshal to Henry VI of all his wars within the realm of France.
Him that thou so magnifiest with all these titles, stinking and fly-blown, lies here at our feet.
Is Talbot slain? The Frenchman's only scourge, your kingdom's terror and fierce nemesis? Oh, were mine eyeballs into bullets turned, that I enraged might shoot them at your faces! Oh, that I could but call these dead to life! It were enough to fright the realm of France! Were but his picture left amongst you here, it would amaze the proudest of you all. Give me their bodies, that I may bear them hence and give them burial as beseems their worth.
I think this upstart is old Talbot's ghost. She speaks with such a proud, commanding spirit. For God's sake, let her have him. To keep them here, they would but stink and putrefy the air.
Go, take their bodies hence.
I'll bear them hence. But from their ashes shall be reared a phoenix that shall make all France afeard.
So we be rid of them, do with him what thou wilt. And now to Paris, in this conquering vein. All will be ours now bloody Talbot's slain.
For over 100 years, ongoing military efforts in France have sapped England's treasury and cost many lives. As the tide of war begins to turn in France's favor, the English nobility look for paths to peace.
Have you perused the letters from the Pope, the Emperor, and the Earl of Armagnac?
I have, my lord, and their intent is this. They humbly sue unto your excellence to have a godly peace concluded of between the realms of England and of France.
How doth your grace effect their motion?
Oh, well, my good lord, and as the only means to stop effusion of our Christian blood and establish quietness on every side.
Aye, marry, uncle. For I always thought it was both impious and unnatural that such immanity and bloody strife should reign among professors of one faith.
Besides, my lord, the sooner to effect and surer bind this knot of amity, the Earl of Armagnac, near knit to Charles, a man of great authority in France, proffers his only daughter to your grace in marriage, with a large and sumptuous dowry.
Marriage, uncle? Alas, my years are young, and fitter is my study and my books than wanton dalliance with the paramour. Yet call the ambassadors, and as you please, I shall be well content with any choice tends to God's glory and my country's weal.
What, is my Lord of Winchester installed and called into a cardinal's degree? Then I perceive that will be verified, Henry V did sometime prophesy. If once he come to be a cardinal, he'll make his cap co-equal with the crown.
My lords ambassadors, your several suits have been considered and debated on. Your purpose is both good and reasonable, and therefore are we certainly resolved to draw conditions of a friendly peace.
And for the proffer of the Earl of Armagnac, I have informed his highness so at large as liking of the lady's virtuous gifts, her beauty, and the value of her dower, he doth intend she shall be England's queen.
Bear her this jewel, pledge of my affection. And so, my Lord Protector, see them guarded and safely brought to Dover, where, inshipped, commit them to the fortune of the sea.
Stay, my Lord Legate. You shall first receive the sum of money which I promised should be delivered to His Holiness for clothing me in these grave ornaments.
I will attend upon your lordship's leisure.
Now Winchester will not submit, I vow, or be inferior to the proudest peer. Humphrey of Gloucester, thou shalt well perceive that neither in birth or for authority the bishop will be overborne by thee. I'll either make thee stoop and bend thy knee, or sack this country with a mutiny.
Skirmishes across France continue, and the English are expelled from more territory. Joan's victories and the death of Talbot inspire more French citizens to revolt against English control and support Charles as the rightful king of France.
'Tis said the stout Parisians do revolt and turn again unto the warlike French.
Then march to Paris, royal Charles of France, and keep not back your powers in dalliance.
Peace be amongst them if they turn to us, else ruin combat with their palaces.
What tidings send our scouts? I prithee speak.
The English army that divided was into two parties is now conjoined in one, and means to give you battle presently.
Somewhat too sudden, friends, the warning is, but we will presently provide for them.
I trust the ghost of Talbot is not there. Now he is gone, my lord, you need not fear.
Of all base passions, fear is most accursed.
Let Henry fret and all the world repine.
Command the conquest, Charles. It shall be thine. Let Henry fret and all the world repine.
Then on, my lords, and France be fortunate! Se battre!
Triomphe pour la France!
Recapturing Paris is the final step needed to reclaim the French homeland. But first, Charles and his supporters must meet the Duke of York in battle. York's forces gain the advantage, however, and potential victory begins to slip from French grasp.
The Regent conquers and the French do fly. Now help, you charming spells and periaps, and you choice spirits that admonish me and give me signs of future accidents. You speedy helpers that are substitutes under the lordly monarch of the north, appear and aid me in this enterprise.
Expect St. Martin's son now seems dead.
Your sin shall be their France's saint.
What's to come she can describe.
The English scourge.
Like the divinest creature.
Virtuous and holy.
This speed and quick appearance argues proof of your accustomed diligence to me. Now, you familiar spirits that are called out of the powerful regions under earth, help me this once, that France may get the field. Oh, hold me not with silence over long. Where I was wont to feed you with my blood, I'll lop a member off and give it you in earnest of a further benefit, so you do condescend to help me now. No hope to have redress. My body shall pay recompense if you will grant my suit.
Ugly witch.
Cannot my body, nor blood sacrifice entreat you to your wonted furtherance? Then take my soul. My body, soul, and all, before that England give the French the foil.
Fell banning hag.
See, they forsake me. Now the time is come that France must veil her lofty plumed crest and let her head fall into England's lap.
Bring forth that sorceress condemned to burn.
My ancient incantations are too weak, and hell too strong for me to buckle with. Now, France, thy glory droopeth to the dust.
Damsel of France, I think I have you fast. A goodly prize fit for the devil's grace. See how the ugly witch doth bend her brows, as if with Circe she would change my shape.
Change to a worser shape thou canst not be.
Oh! Charles the Dolphin is a proper man. No shape but his can please your dainty eye.
A plaguing mischief light on Charles and thee, and may you both be suddenly surprised by bloody hands and sleeping on your beds.
Fell banning hag! Enchantress, hold thy tongue!
I prithee give me leave to curse a while.
Curse, miscreant, when thou comest to the stake.
Be what thou wilt, thou art my prisoner. Oh, fairest beauty. Do not fear, nor fly, for I will touch thee but with reverent hands. I kiss these fingers for eternal peace, and lay them gently on thy tender side. Who art thou? Say, that I may honor thee.
Marguerite my name, and daughter to a king, the king of Naples, whosoe'er thou art.
An earl I am, and Suffolk am I called. Be not offended, nature's miracle. Thou art allotted to be ta'en by me. So doth the swan her downy cygnets save, keeping them prisoner underneath her wings. Yet, if this servile usage once offend, go, and be free again as Suffolk's friend. Oh, stay! I have no power to let her pass. Fain would I woo her, Yet I dare not speak. Fie, de la Pole, disable not thyself, hast not a tongue? Is she not prisoner here? Wilt thou be daunted at a woman's sight? Aye, beauty's princely majesty is such, confounds the tongue and makes the senses rough.
Say, Earl of Suffolk, if thy name be so, what ransom must I pay before I pass? For I perceive I am thy prisoner.
How canst thou tell she will deny thy suit before thou make a trial of her love?
Why speakst thou not? What ransom must I pay?
She's beautiful, therefore to be wooed. She is a woman, therefore to be won.
Wilt thou accept a ransom, yea or no?
Fond man, remember that thou hast a wife. Then how can Margaret be thy paramour?
He talks at random. Sure the man is mad.
And yet a dispensation may be had.
And yet I would that you would answer me.
I'll win this Lady Margaret. For whom? Why, for my king. Tush, that's a wooden thing.
He talks of wood. It is some carpenter.
Yet so my fancy may be satisfied, and peace established between these realms. But there remains a scruple in that too, for though her father be the King of Naples, Duke of Anjou, and Maine, yet is he poor, and our nobility will scorn the match.
Hear you, Captain. Are you not at leisure?
It shall be so. Disdain they ne'er so much. Henry is youthful, and will quickly yield. Madam, I have a secret to reveal.
Alors que faire si je suis capturé? Il a l'air d'un chevalier, et non m'en déshonorera en caca.
Lady, vouchsafe to listen what I say.
Peut-être que je serai secouru par les Français, et puis je n'ai pas besoin de solliciter
Sweet
sa
madam,
courtoisie.
give me hearing in a cause.
Ça alors, les femmes ont été captivées over maintenant.
Lady, wherefore talk you so?
I cry you mercy, 'tis but quid for quo.
Say, gentle princess, would you not suppose your bondage happy to be made a queen?
To be a queen in bondage is most vile, for princes should be free.
And so shall you, if happy England's royal king be free.
Why, what concerns his freedom unto me?
I'll undertake to make thee Henry's queen, to put a golden scepter in thy hand, and set a precious crown upon thy head, if thou wilt condescend to be my...
What?
His love.
I am unworthy to be Henry's wife.
No, gentle madam, I unworthy am to woo so fair a dame to be his wife, and have no portion in the choice myself. How say you, madam? Are you so content?
That is as it shall please de roi mon père.
Then, madam, at your father's castle walls, we'll crave a parley to confer with him. See, Rainier, see thy daughter prisoner.
To whom?
To me.
Suffolk, what remedy? I am a soldier and unapt to weep or to exclaim on fortune's fickleness.
Yes, there is remedy enough, my lord. Consent. And for thy honor give consent, thy daughter shall be wedded to my king. What answer makes your grace unto my suit?
Since thou dost deign to woo her little worth, to be the princely bride of such a lord, upon condition I may quietly enjoy mine own, the county Maine and Anjou, free from oppression or the stroke of war, my daughter shall be Henry's, if he please.
That is her ransom. I deliver her. And those 2 counties I will undertake, your grace shall well and quietly enjoy.
And I, again in Henry's royal name, as deputy unto that gracious king, give thee her hand for sign of plighted faith.
Rainier of France, I give thee kingly thanks, because this is in traffic of a king. And yet methinks I could be well content to be mine own attorney in this case. I'll over then to England with this news, and make this marriage to be solemnized. So farewell, Rainier. Set this diamond safe in golden palaces, as it becomes.
I do embrace thee, as I would embrace the Christian prince King Henry, were he here.
Farewell, my lord. Good wishes, praise, and prayers shall Suffolk ever have of Marguerite.
Farewell, sweet madam, but hark you, Margaret. No princely commendations to my king.
Such commendations as becomes a maid, a virgin, and his servant say to him.
Words sweetly placed and modestly directed, but, madam, I must trouble you again. No loving token to his majesty?
Mais oui, my good lord. A pure, unspotted heart, never yet taint with love, I send the king.
And this withal?
That for thyself. I will not so presume to send such peevish tokens to a king.
Wert thou for myself. But, Suffolk, stay. Thou mayst not wander in that labyrinth. There minotaurs and ugly treasons lurk. Solicit Henry with her wondrous praise. Bethink thee on her virtues that surmount, and natural graces that extinguish art. Repeat their semblance often on the seas, that, when thou comest to kneel at Henry's feet, thou mayest bereave him of his wits with wonder.
The English undertake a campaign of character assassination against Joan of Arc. Rather than seek a ransom in exchange for her release, they try her for heresy and witchcraft. The church finds her guilty and condemns her to die at the age of 19.
Bring forth that sorceress condemned to burn.
Ah, Jean, this kills thy father's heart outright. Have I sought every country far and near, and now it is my chance to find thee out? Must I behold thy timeless cruel death? Ah, Jean, sweet daughter Jean, I'll die with thee.
Decrepit miser! Base, ignoble wretch! I am descended of a gentler blood. Thou art no father nor no friend of mine.
Out! Out! My lords, and please you, 'tis not so. I did beget her, all the parish knows. Her mother liveth yet, can testify she was the first fruit of my bachelorship.
Graceless! Wilt thou deny thy parentage?
This argues what her kind of life hath been. Wicked and vile, and so her death concludes.
Fie, Jean, that thou wilt be so obstacle. God knows thou art a collop of my flesh, and for thy sake have I shed many a tear. Deny me not, I prithee, gentle Jean.
Peasant avaunt! You have suborned this man of purpose to obscure my noble birth.
'Tis true, I gave a noble to the priest the morn that I was wedded to her mother. Kneel down and take my blessing, good my girl.
Kneel down!
Kneel down! Wilt thou not stoop? Kneel down! Now cursed be the time of thy nativity. I would the milk thy mother gave thee when thou suck'st her breast had been a little ratsbane for thy sake. Dost thou deny thy father, cursed drab? Oh, burn her! Burn her! Burn her! Hanging is too good.
Take her away, for she hath lived too long to fill the world with vicious qualities.
First, let me tell you whom you have condemned. Not one begotten of a shepherd swain, but issued from the progeny of kings. Virtuous and holy, chosen from above by inspiration of celestial grace to work exceeding miracles on earth. I never had to do with wicked spirits, but you that are polluted with your lusts, stained with the guiltless blood of innocence, corrupt and tainted with 1,000 vices because you want the grace that others have. You judge it straight, a thing impossible to compass wonders, but by help of devils.
Strumpet! Strumpet! Strumpet!
No, misconceived. Jeanne d'Arc hath been a virgin from her tender infancy. Chaste and immaculate in very thought, whose maiden blood thus rigorously effused will cry for vengeance at the gates of heaven.
Aye! Away with her to execution!
Kill her!
And hark you, guards. Because she is a maid, place barrels of pitch upon the fatal stake so that her torture may be shortened.
Will nothing turn your unrelenting hearts? Then, Jean, discover thy infirmity, that warranteth by law to be thy privilege. I am with child, you bloody homicides.
She's a mother.
Murder not then the fruit within my womb, although you hail me to a violent death.
No! Heaven forfend the holy maid with child. She and the dolphin have been juggling.
Well, go to. We'll have no bastards live, especially since Charles must father it.
You are deceived. My child is none of his. It was Alan's son that enjoyed my
That notorious Machiavel? It dies, and if it had 1,000 lives.
Oh, give me leave, I have deluded you. 'Twas neither Charles, nor yet the Duke I named, but Regent, King of Naples, that
And yet, forsooth, she is a virgin pure. Strumpet, thy words condemn thy brat and thee. Use no entreaty, for it is in vain.
Then lead me hence, with whom I leave my curse. May never glorious sun reflect his beams upon the country where you make abode, but darkness and the gloomy shade of death environ you, till mischief and despair drive you to break your necks or hang yourselves.
Break thou in pieces and consume to ashes, thou foul accursed minister of hell!
Joan of Arc is burned at the stake. She is tortured by the flames and smoke for half an hour before dying. The English once again have the upper hand, and Cardinal Winchester brings directives to the Duke of York and the Countess of Warwick from the English court.
Lord Regent, I do greet your excellence with letters of commission from the king. For know, my lords, the states of Christendom, moved with remorse of these outrageous broils, have earnestly implored a general peace betwixt our nation and the aspiring French. And here at hand the Dolphin and his train approacheth to confer about some matter.
Is all our travail turned to this effect? After the slaughter of so many peers, so many captains, gentlemen, and soldiers that in this quarrel have been overthrown and sold their bodies for their country's benefit, shall we at last conclude effeminate peace? Have we not lost most part of all the towns? By treason, falsehood, and by treachery our great progenitors had conquered? Oh, Warwick, I foresee with grief the utter loss of all the realm of France.
Be patient, York. If we conclude a peace, it shall be with such strict and severe covenants as little shall the Frenchmen gain thereby.
Since, lords of England, it is thus agreed that peaceful truce shall be proclaimed in France, we come to be informed by yourselves what the conditions of that league must be.
Speak, Winchester, for boiling choler chokes the hollow passage of my poisoned voice by sight of these our baleful enemies.
Charles and the rest, it is enacted thus, that in regard King Henry gives consent, of mere compassion and of lenity, to ease your country of distressful war and suffer you to breathe in fruitful peace, you shall become true liegemen to his crown. And Charles, upon condition thou wilt swear to pay him tribute and submit thyself, thou shalt be placed as viceroy under him, and still enjoy thy regal dignity.
This proffer is absurd and reasonless. 'Tis known already that I am possessed with more than half the Gallian territories, and they're in reverence for their lawful king. Shall I, for lucre of the rest unvanquished, detract so much from that prerogative as to be called but viceroy of the whole?
Either accept the title thou usurpst, of benefit proceeding from our king, and not of any challenge of desert, or we will plague thee with incessant wars.
My lord, you do not well in obstinacy to cavil in the course of this contract. If once it be neglected, 10 to 1 we shall not find like opportunity.
To say the truth, it is your policy to save your subjects from such massacre and ruthless slaughter as are daily seen by our proceeding in hostility. And therefore, take this compact of a truce, although you break it when your pleasure serves.
Triomphe pour la France.
How sayest thou, Charles? Shall our conditions stand?
It shall. Only reserve you claim no interest in any of our towns of garrison.
Then swear allegiance to his majesty, as thou art knight, never to disobey, nor be rebellious to the crown of England. Thou nor thy nobles to the crown of England.
We swear.
So now dismiss your army when you please. Hang up your ensigns, let your drums be still, for here we entertain a solemn peace.
The 100 Years' War between France and England is at an end, though conditions of peace are still to be ratified. The Earl of Suffolk returns to England and tells King Henry of the young woman he met in battle, Margaret of Anjou, cousin to Charles VII.
Your wondrous rare description, noble Earl, of beauteous Margaret hath astonished me. Her virtues graced with external gifts do breed love's settled passions in my heart.
Tush, my good lord, this superficial tale is but a preface to her worthy praise. She is content to be at your command. Command, I mean, of virtuous, chaste intents, to love and honor Henry as her lord.
And otherwise will Henry ne'er presume. Therefore, my Lord Protector, give consent that Margaret may be England's royal queen.
So should I give consent to flatter sin. You know, my lord, your highness is betrothed unto another lady of esteem. How shall we then dispense with that contract and not deface your honor with reproach?
A poor earl's daughter is unequal odds, and therefore may be broke without offense.
Why, what, I pray, is Margaret more than that? Her father is no better than an earl, although in glorious titles he excel.
Yes, my lord, her father is a king, the King of Naples, and Jerusalem, and of such great authority in France, as his alliance will confirm our peace, and keep the Frenchmen in allegiance.
And so the Earl Armagnac may do, because he is near kinsman unto Charles.
Besides, his wealth doth warrant a liberal dower, where Regnier sooner will receive than give.
A dower, my lords? Disgrace not so your king, that he should be so abject, base, and poor, to choose for wealth, and not for perfect love. Marriage is a matter of more worth than to be dealt in by attorneyship. Not whom we will, but whom his grace affects, must be companion of his nuptial bed. And therefore, lords, since he affects her most, in our opinions, she should be preferred. Whom should we match with Henry, being a king, but Margaret, that is daughter to a king? Her peerless feature, joined with her birth, approves her fit for none but for a king. Her valiant courage and undaunted spirit, more than in women commonly is seen, will answer our hope in issue of a king. For Henry, son unto a conqueror, is likely to beget more conquerors, if with a lady of so high resolve as is fair Margaret he be linked in love. Then yield, my lords, and here conclude with me that Margaret shall be queen, and none but she.
Whether it be through force of your report, my noble lord of Suffolk, or for that my tender youth was never yet attaint with any passion of inflaming love, I cannot tell. But this I am assured. I feel such sharp dissension in my breast, such fierce alarms both of hope and fear, as I am sick with working of my thoughts. Take therefore shipping. Post, my lord, to France. Agree to any covenants, and procure that Lady Margaret do vouchsafe to come to cross the seas to England, and be crowned King Henry's faithful and anointed queen. And you, good uncle, banish all offense. If you do censure me by what you were, not what you are, I know it will excuse this sudden execution of my will. And so conduct me where, from company, I may revolve and ruminate my grief.
Aye, grief, I fear me, both at first and last.
Thus Suffolk hath prevailed. And thus he goes, as did the youthful Paris once to Greece, with hope to find the like event in love, but prosper better than the Trojan did. A cup of wine that's brisk and fine, come drink and join our song. Margaret shall now be queen, and rule the king, but I will rule both her, the king, and realm. Fill up the cup and let it come, I'll pledge you a mile to the bottom. Let's drink until the cup is done. Who joins us not, God rot 'em.
You've been listening to Shakespeare's Histories, Season 2, The Queen's Storm, presented by Brave Spirits Theatre.
Shakespeare's Histories is directed by Charlene V. Smith.
The recording producer and editor is Patrick Flynn.
With dramaturgy and additional directing by Marshall B. Garrett.
Dramaturgy and additional directing by Claire Kimball.
And dramaturgy by Liam Thomas Daly.
The acting company for Shakespeare's Histories is
Mikey Bannigan.
Zach Brewster-Geisz.
Jordan Brown.
Dean Carlson.
Jacqueline Chenault.
Gary DuBreuil.
Brianna Good.
Lisa Hill-Corley.
Thomas Howley.
Caroline Johnson.
Brendan Edward Kennedy.
Annette Mooney.
Victoria Reinsel.
Duane Richards.
Jillian Reedy.
Ian Blackwell Rogers.
Nicole Ruth Marie. Charlene V. Smith.
John Stange.
Molly E. Thomas.
And Joshua Williams.
The composer and music director is Jordan Friend.
The dialect coach is Jenna Burke.
The production manager for Shakespeare's Histories is Lisa Hill-Corley.
The stage manager is Jen Katz.
The audio recordings of Shakespeare's Histories were made possible through funding from the Nora Roberts Foundation, the City of Alexandria, the Morgan Fund at the Seattle Foundation, the Virginia Commission for the Arts, and the National Endowment for the Arts.
Learn more about Brave Spirits Theater by visiting our website at www.bravespiritstheater.com.